Now, live from the 2015 Vancouver International Wine Festival, Anthony Gismondi and Casey Wilson. This is Tony and Casey's Best of Food and Wine.
We're back at, it's the Best of Food and Wine. We're on location at the 37th Annual Vancouver International Wine Festival. We're live on the floor. You'll find our show stage right inside the theme region for Australia, which is in one way beautiful and in another way a bunch of palettes, Casey.
I know.
They did a great job with it.
They did. It shows you what you can do with a low budget. I'm not saying that Aussie didn't have a big budget, but I think they spent it on bringing writers in and just putting up...
And great wines.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe you could get your picture taken over there on a pallet later on.
This is going to be your birthday party.
There's actually people sitting on pallets looking at you right now.
Yes, they are.
It's amazing. And then there's great pallets around you like our next guest.
It's all about the pallets.
Yeah. Joining us now is ChrisHatcher. He's the chief winemaker at WolfBlass. Chris, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. And
great
Casey.
to have you. You've been in the city early this week doing many things.
Yep.
I want to talk to you about two things in particular. One, well, we're going to talk about this wine in front of us in a couple of seconds. You were here to do a big tasting this week.
That's correct.
The master class. And the tasting, which I was at the tasting, Casey, just so you know what was going on.
Tony, I was so excited after seeing it in Montreal. It's one of the most impressive things I've ever attended.
So the world's top Cabernet blends. You hold it now every year?
Yeah, we have for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So 2008 vintage, 2009 vintage, and then 2010.
Exactly.
It's very courageous what you do, and tell us why.
Yeah, well, first of all, you put your wine in the competition against the greatest wines around the world, which is fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's interesting, and maybe what I learned this week that I never really come to understand until this year, was that it's not so much about the tasting; it's about benchmarking yourself against these styles and looking at what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And you're taking it back to the winery.
Absolutely.
And soon we're going to see a wine that reflects what you've seen in the tastings.
Yeah, I think winemaking is continual evolution, understanding your vineyards and your winemaking process. And I think one of the problems being a winemaker, sometimes you can become insular in your own winery and not look outside.
Right.
And to me, the key thing is to continually challenge yourself, because then you know where you stand. And
but Aussies are great at that.
Yeah.
You have so many awards, and
I think it's part of the Australian personality that, I guess because we're a small country, we always want to prove that we can stand on the stage with the best in the world at whatever we do. We're a small country, so we have to be exporters, and to be exporters, you have to understand other markets and what people are drinking, and therefore, those classic wines of the world, whether it's Bordeaux, Burgundy, it doesn't matter. We're competing with those all the time. So if we're not comparing ourselves to that, then we're becoming very insular and overly confident in what we do ourselves.
So you're in a tasting with 30 wines. What are the things that you're looking at, and how do you, what do you walk away from that tasting looking at your wine and other wines, thinking about in the last 3 years sort of thing?
Yeah, from my point of view, is I want to walk away and be proud enough that we can sit on the table with those wines.
Right.
I don't necessarily want to be the best wine, and I definitely don't want to be the
last
worst
wine,
and I don't want to be in the last 10 or 15.
Yeah.
If I'm within a couple of points of the most expensive wines in the world, then I'm very happy. Mm-hmm. But also, it's that learning of what can we do to keep improving, but be Australian. I think that's the key thing. My takeout is we want to be competitive with the best in the world, but we also want to have the personality of Australia in our wines. And if we forget that, then I think we just become another wine. Yeah.
Well, what I remember are the conversations.
Oh, absolutely.
And
fantastic.
Tony, you're fantastic with that. Just talking about the wines and the different styles and what people prefer, and somebody from Quebec prefers something different than West
Those
Coasters.
pesky Quebec writers. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
They mark really low.
They're
don't
very
they?
French.
Yeah, they are. Some of them, we'd call them tight asses in Australia, yeah.
Yes.
They give a lot away.
No,
Yeah.
they don't. I
No.
talked to Mark Chaplot about it last night and said that, and he agreed. Yeah, they do.
But it was a good tasting this year. Of course,
Yeah.
it was over at Hawksworth at the Rosewood Hotel. It was really
And
well
I think
done.
the classic thing this year was 2010 Bordeaux is so strong.
Yep.
And to see the best of the best out of Bordeaux actually performing,
which is nice.
Yeah,
the tour
it is.
really stood out
Absolutely.
in the tasting.
My favourite wine in the
Really?
taste. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to me, that's good. That gives the world industry confidence that the wines that are touted as the best wines in the world actually fronted up. And in previous years, they haven't. But in that great vintage, they have. So I take that as a very positive.
Yep.
And I also, I mean, I've talked to our winemakers already about a few small things that we can improve on and continuously improve.
Okay, let's get to the red wine because we always run out of time. So I want to talk a bit about that, and then we're going to come back and talk about Chardonnay. The Grey Label McLaren Vale Shiraz we have here now in front of us. It's always good to go instructive. We knew the WolfBlass yellow label and the red label and the black label. How does it work now, and where does the Grey Label all fit in here?
So basically, it's red label, yellow label, then grey, black, platinum. So it's a strata of, I guess, price points and quality. So across each of the colours, all of the wines should be of a similar quality and price point. The thing with something like grey, excuse me.
You better have a sip of that Grey Label, yeah?
Yeah, I will definitely do that.
And WolfBlass started the coloured labels, and I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, well, if you look back in the history of Australia, when he started in the 1960s, people were struggling with what was red wine and what was white wine, let alone what Cabernet and Shiraz were. So he tried to simplify it for people so that they could go and buy a bottle. If they remembered it was good quality, they could go back and buy it. The interesting thing with WolfBlass, and I think a lot of people forget this because it's been so successfully globally, that WolfBlass is a winemaker. He's not a marketer. He was successful at marketing, but he started off making 250 bottles of Grey Label.
Yeah.
And it was his passion that drove a wine business. And I often say to him, could you ever imagine when you started off that it would end up like WolfBlass, where you can walk into most bottle shops around the world and see WolfBlass wines? And he must pinch himself because he would never have thought that was going to happen. He obviously wanted to build his business, and he just had a feel for marketing, and the coloured labels work. But in a lot of cases, those things are luck, I guess, in the marketing aspect. But he always focused on quality, and he bashed it into me from the day I started there. The first day I started there, he held a bottle of wine up and he said to me, "Hatch, no gold medals, no job."
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
But
that's pressure.
That's to the point.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
But he's
around.
a born marketer.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say he's a born marketer. He understands consumers, and I think there's a difference between marketers. Marketers try to spin things.
Oh no, but he doesn't.
He doesn't. No, he's very simple, very straightforward, and he believes if we can deliver the quality in the glass, then if you get the other stuff right, then it'll be successful.
Okay, we got to get to this glass.
Yep.
Regionality is one of the themes this week. So this is McLaren Vale Shiraz.
Yes.
What does that mean to you when you see fruit coming from all over?
Okay, most people know Barossa.
Yep.
And Barossa Shiraz tend to be richer and more opulent, slightly warmer. McLaren Vale's right next to the sea, so basically vineyards are on the sea. You get a huge influence of the gully breeze or the sea breezes coming.
Air,
so even though it's moderately warm, most of the cool vineyards are either up in the hills or down in the southern parts of Australia. McLaren Vale's not, but it gets that huge influence of the sea, and it makes a more elegant Shiraz. So if you actually compare it to, say, our Gold Label Shiraz, Gold Label's more opulent.
Yep.
We don't push the overripe, heavy style, but Barossa by nature is more opulent. McLaren Vale more elegant, and certainly from Wolf's point of view, he wanted to make styles that were more elegant. He didn't like big, heavy styles, so it's very much in the mould of what he personally likes.
A little more aromatic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Delicious wine.
Yeah, and less oak. A lot used to be all American oak. Now it's 75% French oak.
Yeah.
A much more refined wine. And again, this is the thing that comes out of MBC is understanding refinement and style and getting that balance right in the wines.
Yeah. Chris, we're almost out of time here. We didn't even get to Chardonnay, but I want to talk briefly because the WolfBlass Yellow Label is coming out in about another month in this market. Not completely revamped, but looking pretty svelte.
Yeah. What we've done is over the last 30 years we've been sourcing across regions to get consistency in Yellow Label, and over that period we've refined into areas that we know do well with certain varieties.
Yep.
And so now we can actually get Yellow Label as a two regional blend. So the Chardonnay will be Pathway, Adelaide Hills.
And Adelaide Hills, two great areas.
Yeah, two cool climate areas.
Yeah.
And then the Cabernet will be Langhorne Creek, McLaren Vale, which have been the benchmark wines for WolfBlass. So it actually percolates right down from Black Label, has those regions in it right through grey and right into yellow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chris, well, we look forward to the release of those. This is a delicious tasting grey label. People can come by and see you at the booth.
Absolutely.
You'll be here for a couple more nights.
Yep, I'm here for the whole week, so looking forward to it.
You're avoiding the harvest.
Yeah, no, it's I get on the phone quite regularly. And,
it's coming on.
Yeah, well, it's coming on quick. It's about 5 weeks early, so it's actually quite amazing.
Great.
And
Thanks
Chris
for
has
us.
a great dinner on Sunday night at Boulevard.
Yes, looking forward to it.
I'm going to, and very excited about that.
Well,
Towers of Seafood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
ChrisHatcher, he's the chief winemaker at WolfBlass. We'll take a quick break. We're coming to you live from the floor of the Vancouver National Wine Festival. It's year 37. Australia's the theme, and we'll be right back.
There's lots more still ahead. Live from the 2015 Vancouver International Wine Festival, this is Tony and Casey's Best of Food and Wine on Sea Isle 650.